Hey, Danny Ray with Pinnacle Quote Life Insurance Specialist. Just wanted to talk to you today in reference to atrial fibrillation. Okay, I want to start speaking about topics of heart disease and stuff like that, and arrhythmia, but I want to speak about atrial fibrillation, and how it affects your life insurance rates. So, first and foremost, you're talking to somebody that has atrial fibrillation. All right, I had atrial fibrillation. I was diagnosed back in back when I was 39 years old, so it was back in about 2012. Okay, and it was induced by exercise. And I'm pretty young to have that. Normally people don't get atrial fibrillation until they're into their 60s in some cases. Okay, so, but I had an episode once a year, once every other year for a few years. And then last year, okay, I was in 2016, I was on a flight to New York from Florida, and I had a severe episode mid-flight where my heart rate just went through the roof and it was bouncing around. I was 7 miles above the earth and going over Virginia, and I had about an hour left until I was going to be landing at JFK. So I was obviously very concerned. I didn't think I was going to make it. Any of you that has atrial fibrillation knows exactly what I'm talking about. So lo and behold, a month later, I had a cardiac ablation, and so I've been fixed ever since. I haven't had any episodes. I'm living a normal life again. But again, it was back to back 3 different episodes lasting more than a week until I got that cardiac ablation. So here I am, about 15 months afterwards, I'm fine. With that said, this is what I want to speak about. My mom also had severe atrial fibrillation for many, many years. Okay, so I want to speak to you how that impacts your life insurance rates. Okay, so for some people, getting life insurance is again, walk in the park if you're healthy, so on and so forth. For those with medical conditions like atrial fibrillation, getting a life insurance policy can be pretty complicated. Okay, if you have atrial fibrillation, you may not think you'll be able to get affordable life insurance. However, this isn't necessarily the case. There are several things that you need to do to find out if you can get an affordable policy when it comes to atrial fibrillation. Okay, what will the life insurance companies look at, or look as far as history when it comes to atrial fibrillation? One of the ways they do get a better offer from a life insurance company is to be prepared for their questions. Okay, I cannot stress it enough. I've said this in a few other videos as well. The more thorough and honest your answers you give, the more likely they're going to go ahead and approve you for the application. Okay, and the more likely you are to have, lower rates. All right, so here's a few questions they might ask you, and when it comes down to atrial fibrillation, is your condition chronic or intermediate, or is it in layman's terms when it comes to atrial fibrillation, paroxysmal, okay, intermediate, or if it's one time it happened. Okay, this is going to have a major effect on your rate. Obviously, if you're chronic, it's going to be, probably a level standard table 4, or even higher than that, or decline. What's the cause of your condition? How did it happen? Okay, why do you have atrial fibrillation? Okay, me, on the other hand, again, it was exercise induced. Okay, do you have any other health issues? Now, usually when you get atrial fibrillation, again, you're much older. Okay, you possibly could have any kind of heart disease. I know my mom. She had severe heart disease. She had atrial fibrillation, diabetes. You name it. She was. I think the doctor told me she's beautiful on the outside, but she's a train wreck on the inside before she had passed. So because her insides were so bad when it came to atrial fibrillation and everything else, and carotid artery, she had 17 stents in her body before she passed away. So just to give you an idea. Okay. And do you have any other high-risk insurance factors, like high blood pressure? Do you smoke? These all have some sort of factors on your rates when it comes to atrial fibrillation. When were you diagnosed? Again, that has a lot to do with it too. Me personally, when I got insurance, I renewed my insurance 2 months after I had the cardiac ablation. Now, guidelines usually after cardiac ablation is you need to go 12 months, 3 or 4 different follow-ups with your cardiologist. He's got to give you a green light, a high five that you're doing great. Then you'll be able to get a normal rate. Okay, I'm redoing my insurance now after a year, and I went from a table 4 to a standard rate. Okay, which is a significant increase. I increased my coverage 50%, and I'm paying about the same amount of money. Okay, So, with that said, does your family have a history of heart disease? That'll factor into what kind of rate they'll give you if you have atrial fibrillation. Okay, are you on any medications? Are you on blood thinners? Okay, now blood thinners now in this day and age, they have really good new blood thinners that came out. Like I was on Eliquis, which is really good. The only ones that really rate you on is Coumadin. Okay, they'll just add on 2 tables to that because of the fact Coumadin is a dangerous drug if you don't use it right. Okay, it can cause your blood clot. You can cause you to clot, okay, which can cause you to have a stroke, or you can thin out your blood so much where a small cut you can bleed to death. So, and you constantly have to check yourself with Coumadin. So it's very, very important that medical science has come far from what it was even a few years ago, with these drugs like Xarelto, and again, I was on Eliquis for a couple of months, which I didn't have any issues. So again, it's really important to know what kind of medication you are taking. Okay, and I get a lot of times with atrial fibrillation. What rating will I receive with atrial fibrillation? Now, again, although atrial fibrillation isn't a life-threatening condition, although it might feel like it sometimes, people who have it are at a higher risk of having a stroke. Again, if your heart's in a flutter, okay, it's more common for it to pools of blood to fall in the bottom of the atrium, I think it is, and then it can break off and give you a stroke. And usually strokes with atrial fibrillation are not mild ones. They're usually pretty significant. Okay, so for this reason, a lot of insurance companies may be concerned about insuring people with atrial fibrillation or AFib. And of course, this is not the only factor they will consider for atrial fibrillation. Again, it's going to consider general health, occupation, obviously. What do you do for a living? In some cases, atrial fibrillation is spurred on by stress or excitement. Okay, and obviously the age will have a factor in it too. Okay, now again, ratings can go if you got one episode, a pill in pocket they call it, where you only had one episode. Preferred plus rates are on the table still. Okay, if you have one episode, every year, you can still get preferred rates. Okay, if you're paroxysmal, where it comes and goes, 3 episodes a year or less, depending on what it is, you can get standard rates. Now, if you have, like I had paroxysmal was borderline to go chronic, because again, I had 3 episodes back to back that lasted more than a week. Okay, within a span of a month. So with maybe 2 or 3 days in between each one. So when I got the cardiac ablation, okay, then it worked obviously, but I was a table 4. Okay, so just to give you an idea. And again, if you're in chronic, there's a very good possibility you could be a decline. Okay, depending on medications and stuff like that. Okay, so most of the time, a standard rate is the best possible rating that people can get with AFib. Okay, like I'm going from a table 4 to a standard. Okay, now keep in mind, the most likely rating for someone with atrial fibrillation is a substandard rate. So, I mean, usually 9 times out of 10, the best rate you can get is a standard, and again, that's what I'm getting now, which means that obviously the rates will be higher, substandard rates. Usually a table 8 is borderline decline, table 9 is a decline. Okay, now declines usually occur when the applicant has, other serious heart issues on top of the atrial fibrillation. Again, it could be they had a history of a stroke, they have carotid artery disease, okay, or any kind of cardiovascular disease with AFib. It just ties them together. Diabetes, all that stuff ties together. And if you smoke, it's just 10 times worse. Okay, so here's a good way to get affordable life insurance when you have AFib. Okay, there are a lot of ways to strategically go about getting cheap life insurance. Okay, our best piece of advice would be to compare multiple carriers. Okay, always. Now, atrial fibrillation, the top 2 carriers out there, okay, when you do have my situation, is Prudential and Banner Life. Prudential and Banner Life. I have Banner Life right now with atrial fibrillation. It was a table 4, 2 months after my ablation. Now, again, I don't have diabetes. I don't have any kind of heart issues. So, again, if you are in your 60s and you have some heart issues, or you have cardiovascular disease, have stents put in your body, or you had blockages and then you got fixed, then there's a good chance that you could be borderline. You'll be higher rating than that and borderline decline. Okay. Now again, here at Pinnacle Quote, we know exactly which carriers to go to. We specialize in high risk. That's what we do. We'll get you the best price policy if you're healthy. That's not a problem. That's easy. Okay, but this is when it comes in that our expertise is when you have some significant health impairments, and then we know where to put you. Okay, again, we specialize in high risk. Okay, and again, hiring an independent agent is the way to go. Again, here at Pinnacle Quote, I am a national independent agent. You don't want to go to a captive agent like your local guy in the storefront, or the guy you get your auto and home insurance. They're going to add on a life insurance policy. They said it's bundled. It's not bundled. It's an add-on product. Okay, and those are captive agents. They're just peddling you an insurance product that they have proprietary interest in. They're not shopping you. It's their in-house products. Okay, and normally in-house products are 30 to 40% higher than the best rate on the street. Okay, so with that being said, another thing to remember is that each insurance company, again, has different medical underwriting. That's why we here at Pinnacle Quote are experts at it. This means that you're perceived as a level of risk will vary between life insurance companies. Again, they're going to look at you differently. AIG or Principal Life, with AFib, they're going to look at you and they're going to assess you as more of a risk than somebody, say, Banner Life or Prudential. Again, Banner Life, Prudential, they're the top carriers for atrial fibrillation. Okay, so it's very, very important to find an insurance company that has the right medical underwriting. Again, we know who they are. And of course, the right company isn't the only thing to find when you want lower prices for your life insurance. It's also improved general health. You got to do things to improve your health. Okay, if you're thinking about getting a life insurance policy and you know if you're not healthy, you got to tweak things up. Okay, you got remember you got a family to support. That's why you get life insurance. You're not getting life insurance to donate it. You're getting it because you want somebody to protect. You got loved ones that depend on you financially. So you want to make sure that you get the best price policy and you go as long as possible, which is affordable. Okay. Now, also quitting tobacco products before applying is maybe the number one way to seriously cut your cost of life insurance, especially with atrial fibrillation. Cigarette smokers pay generally 2 to 3 times more than life insurance than non-smokers. Then you factor in atrial fibrillation and diabetes. Okay, you're talking 5 to 6 times more, or maybe a decline. You won't even be able to get it. Okay, then you'd have to go what you call the guaranteed acceptance life insurance policy, which they accept anybody. But again, you're limited on the face amount. It's usually enough to bury yourself, cover loose ends, have a couple of thousand left over for the family, which is by no means enough to support them. Okay, and it's usually a 2-year graded period. Okay, so again, you're unlimited on the face amount, and it's more expensive. Okay, so again, you don't need any more reasons for insurance companies to label you a high risk other than atrial fibrillation. Okay, and as we touched on briefly above, as we spoke, is preparing for any questions that you may ask and applying when you do apply for life insurance. Be prepared to answer any questions they may have. Life insurance companies are hesitant to work with people that are not adequately or accurately answering questions for them. What are they hiding? That's what they're thinking. And again, these are insurance companies. They're worth billions of dollars. They find out everything. MIB search, prescription check, medical records. They find it all. Okay, so just tell them the truth. All right, level playing field. And again, you don't want to BS an insurance company or tell them something that's not factual and die, and then find out a bit later and not cut a check. Okay, it's called a 2-year contestability. Okay, so we'll explain that to you anyway. So that's a little bit of atrial fibrillation. I'm very, very keen and very, when it comes down to any kind of heart disease, atrial fibrillation, diabetes, I'm very familiar with this. It's one of my expertise. Again, I had atrial fibrillation. My mom had it. My ex-wife had type 1 diabetes. I consider myself an expert in these health impairments because I've lived it and I know all about it. So any questions on these topics, especially atrial fibrillation, give me a call at 855-380-3300, extension 2. And reach us on the web at pinnaclequote.com. And you can actually click on an instant quote on our homepage and get an instant quote within seconds. Click the Let's Talk and schedule time to speak. That's fine too. And also visit us at pinnaclequote.com/blog. And there's an array of articles that I've written on health impairments and things of that nature that can help you determine make you feel comfortable and give you the confidence that you need to get life insurance. Because again, it's very, very important to take care of your family in the event of your death. Okay, this is what this is all about. Okay, it's not about for you. It's about, God forbid, if you were to pass away, and then giving your family what they deserve financially. Okay, to go and get them through life. Okay, as you intended it. Okay, and of course, it's the last way to say I love you. Okay, so again, it's Danny with Pinnacle Quote, and any questions, give me a buzz, 855-380-3300. Make it a great day.